Like and subscribe right now, or you're going to have terrible luck for the next week.
No matter where you are, there are some haunted sites around. Whether it's a ghost wandering about or UFO sightings, you're sure to experience one of them in your lifetime. Even if you're not a fan of paranormal activities, some of these jaw-dropping discoveries in some locations across the world are worth your time. Not that you shouldn't visit these places, but when you do, remember this video and what you should expect. Here are 10 of the most haunted places on Earth. Number 10. Bangalore Fort, Rajasthan, India. Bangalore Fort is the ruins of a city built in the 17th century. It consists of havelis, royal palaces, fort walls, numerous templates, and 3 grand stories for your viewing pleasure. You may be fooled by the external beauty, but think again before making a rash decision. The building is ranked as the most haunted castle in India. According to legend, the building was once inhabited by Singhiya, a witch, and Ratnavati, a princess. She rejected his proposal to be his wife, but instead of looking elsewhere, the wizard purchased an enchanted oil that would make her fall in love with him. One day, she spilled the oil, but it turned into a boulder that killed him. Before he died, he cursed all the inhabitants of the building. Another account has it that an ascetic cursed the fort because its shadow overpowered his house. Whatever the case may be, the curses have lingered around the building for years. Bangalore Fort has since been called the home of ghosts. Locals believe that anyone that passes a night in the house would not be seen again. To help you stay safe, visitors are allowed to go in during the day. Number 9. Myrtle's Plantation, USA. Myrtle's Plantation is one of the terrifying places in America. The site is located in the small town of St. Francisville, northwest of New Orleans. The glass front door leads visitors to a vast French crystal chandelier. Over 10 tourists have been killed in the mansion, which further buttresses the fact that there are ghosts among humans. One of the notable stories is that of Chloe, whose ears were cut off by her lover. She ties a green turban and peers at visitors. She was even spotted in a photograph. Another known ghost sighting is that of a ghost girl that peers through the window of the house. There's also an eerie sighting of a child bouncing on the bed, a voodoo princess, a soldier, and the house owner. Despite the scare and superstition in the house, the plantation hosts hundreds of visitors every day. It accommodates at least 12 persons and serves them like regular hotels. You can choose between a daily or evening tour, but the spookiest things happen at night. You should give it a try. Number 8. Banff Springs Hotel, Alberta, Canada. Banff Spring Hotel is styled after a Scottish baronial castle, and it's one of Canada's Grand Railway hotels. It is also one of the most haunted buildings in the country. Many stories justify some of the mythical happenings in the hotel. The first is a story of a bride who fell from the staircase out of shock that her wedding dress caught fire. Visitors say they see her dancing in the ballroom with flames coming from the back of her dress. There is another family that was murdered in room 873. Although the door to the room was bricked up, guests say they see them in the hallway outside the room. Another story is that of the former bellman, Sam Macaulay. He loved his job and continued to serve the hotel at death. He used to be a worker in the 60s and 70s, where he helped guests find their rooms. Well, he continues to do that excitedly, but disappears if you raise a conversation with him or try to tip him. The hotel is currently part of the Fairmont chain of luxury suites. Thousands of tourists troop to the location all year round to see things for themselves. When next you're in Canada, you can check out this haunted location. Number 7. Castle of Good Hope, South Africa. The Castle of Good Hope was constructed in the 17th century by the Dutch East India Company. It's South Africa's oldest building. The first ghost was sighted around 1915. According to eyewitnesses, a tall man is seen jumping to the other side of the castle wall and then walking between the bastions Leedham Orange. Within the same period, another female dressed in grey and crying profusely was also spotted. She was seen running around and holding her face. After excavation was done on the site and a woman's body was discovered, the Grey Lady disappeared and was not seen in the building ever again. Other eerie sightings include the bells ringing on its own and a ghastly dog that pounces on unlucky visitors before vanishing into the air. The building is arguably the most preserved 17th century monument. The tourist attraction houses 3 prestigious museums, one of which is in memory of Krotoa, the Khoi nation's leader. There is a restaurant where various local and international dishes are served. You can also watch the cannon firing from one spot. The Castle of Good Hope is a perfect blend of fear and fun. Number 6. Hellfire Club, Montpelier Hill, Ireland. If it's a Hellfire Club, you should expect nothing more than a spooky, eerie, and disgusting sight. This club was originally built in 1925 for William Connolly. It is said that the stones for this building were from ancient passage tombs. Building the monument angered the devil, which is why the supernatural events haven't stopped happening there. After the lodge was completed, it became a meeting point for Dublin elites who met for devil worship. There have been numerous stories of murder, animal sacrifices, black masses, and cloven-hoofed men. The most famous story is the visit of a satanic agent who came in a man's form. In one of Dublin elite's gatherings, a card player dropped a card, but as he made to pick it up, he noticed a guest with cloven feet. Before he could blow things up, the man disappeared in a ball of flames. There's also a ghostly lady who is placed in a barrel and set ablaze before rolling the drum down the hill for fun. She's been sighted in the building on several occasions. Feel free to visit this site, but don't freak out if any ghosts appear from nowhere. Number 5. La Recoleta Cemetery, Buenos Aires, Argentina. La Recoleta Cemetery is known as one of the most beautiful cemeteries in the world. It is not unlikely to hear ghostly stories in a place like this one. After all, dead people become spirits and roam the earth until further notice. This site was first built in 1833 and comprised elaborate sculptures, stylishly designed tombs, and shady trees. The creme de la creme in Buenos Aires is buried here, including Argentina's former First Lady. One of the foremost ghost stories recorded is that of Rufina, a 19-year-old woman. Legend has it that her burial was postponed due to heavy rain. After the pouring stopped, the groundskeeper came back to lay her to rest, but her coffin was open, and she was nowhere to be found. People believe that she may not have died before she was buried, and as such, was buried alive. There's also David Alino, who was a gravedigger for 30 years. He killed himself after his tomb was completed. If you hear keys jangling, he's around the corner. Visitors come to this location to view the graveyard of famous people during vacations while expecting to listen to these strange sounds. Number 4. Chaonei Church, Beijing, China. Chaonei Church was first constructed in 1910 by the American Catholic Church, but first used as an institute where the Western missionaries learned Mandarin Chinese. Around the 1903s, the most impressive building in Beijing served as a Catholic church. When the communists came to power in the 1950s, they took over the building ownership to date. You will likely see two kinds of ghosts. The first is the mistress of a government official who killed herself after a terrible breakup. The next appearance is a group of 3 drunk construction workers who broke into the mansion and were never seen again. Surprisingly, the temperature of the house is colder than in other parts of Beijing. There's been no scientific explanation for this fact, but this remains the fact. Today, no one inhabits the house as it's considered the most haunted place in the Chinese capital. You'll probably not be granted access to this house, except you're allowed to shoot a movie there. Number 3. Casa de la Poesía, Bogota, Colombia. It is typical for writers to isolate themselves from the rest of the world to draw inspiration from solitude. José Asuncion Silva, one of the most modern poets in Colombia, lived in Casa de la Poesía, from where he wrote most of his poems. His life has been a tale of one personal tragedy to another. He was greatly affected by his beloved sister Elvira's death, and this loss took a toll on his mental health. He also lost his finest manuscripts during a shipwreck. This event led him to commit suicide in 1896. He died in his house at the young age of 30. Several years later, his home was declared as a Colombian national monument because of its historical significance. Silva haunts his house probably out of anger that he couldn't achieve most of his dreams while on Earth. Some people claim they hear him mutter under his breath as they move around his house. He's probably still mourning loss of his loved ones and manuscripts that he would have earned him worldwide recognition. During literary events, literature lovers troop into the building to see some of Silva's works.
Now it's time for today's best pick.
This location has been out of bounds for fishermen and visitors for many years. Until 1381, Poveglia was a flourishing economic center. What then happened? You'll find out as you keep watching. Number 2. Poveglia Island, Italy. Of the many sites on this list, this one stands out because, unlike others, you dare not get in. Poveglia Island is located between Venice and Lido and was used as a refugee camp for mainlanders who fled from invaders. In the 14th century, some Venetians were infected with the bubonic plague. The sickos were separated from the healthiest. When they died, their bodies were burned. The location was also used as a mental asylum in the 1800s, where most of the patients were used as experiments and tortured to death afterwards. Locals believe all manner of spirits curses the island. Screams and voices are often heard, and some visitors have confirmed seeing dark, unexplained shadows. Some people are convinced that Poveglia is haunted because they are enveloped by evil immediately they arrive. Today the island is abandoned and out of bounds to visitors. If you take your curiosity to the next level and insist on visiting, you should be moving alone because even the local guides are scared. They feel they'll be cursed or killed by the ghosts of innocent people. Would you mind going alone?
Before we move on, I have a little challenge for you that'll take 5 seconds to complete. So here's the deal, just leave a like on the video, smash the subscribe button, and hit the notification bell, and you'll get 25 years of good luck. Try it, it really works.
Number 1. Chateau de Brissac, Maine-et-Loire, France. The Chateau de Brissac is the tallest castle in France, boasting a massive 204 rooms, 7 floors, countless portrait galleries, and an opera house sheltering 200 people. The Counts of Anjou built it in the 11th century, and since then, it has left eyeballs rolling. Green Lady is the most famous ghost that terrorizes visitors. She was King Charles VII's illegitimate child, but was murdered in the 15th century by her husband after she caught him having an affair. She is usually dressed in green garb that is perforated in the eye and nose region. When she is not monitoring the guests, she is moaning around the castle. The mansion hosts special events like wine tasting ceremonies and Christmas market. Guests are allowed into the chateau, but if you are brave enough to spend the night, kudos to you. Even the hard-hearted know that visiting these places is not a walk in the park. How about you? Which of these sites would you visit soon? Which of them freaks you out the most? Please leave a comment in the box below and we'll be glad to engage with it. Like and subscribe to our channel to stay updated with our latest content. It's been another fantastic time here. See you soon. Bye.